Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Geary Talcott, and on behalf of the college, I'd like to welcome you all to SUNY IT today. Thank you for helping us celebrate National Manufacturing Day and the resurgence of manufacturing in New York State. We are thrilled with this turnout. Over 300 were registered yesterday, and it looks like we're well beyond that. We had a lot more people show up this morning, which is wonderful. We exceeded the capacity of this auditorium, so we have people watching this in two other rooms, two overflow rooms across the hall. You know, in retrospect, had I known this was going to be so popular, I should have booked the field house. Note to self for next year. So very quickly, let me just go over some housekeeping details with you. First and foremost, we're here to serve you today, all right? The SUNY IT staff are available. Please look for folks with lanyards, and Rushlow, my model, is showing you. If you need assistance with access to Wi-Fi, finding a restroom, you need more food, let us know and we're here to help. If you didn't get a chance this morning to see all 13 of our exhibitors out in the lobby, no worries. We'll have a break mid-morning, and you can go back out there and talk with them. And I hope you will talk with them, because they've got some really interesting things to show you, some interesting technology, and they want to talk about their business with you. So we have 9 local businesses in the exposition, and we have 4 colleges that also have tables. Thank you for respecting our no food or beverage rule in here. Now, if you happen to be sitting in the overflow rooms, lucky you, you can eat, you can drink, you can have your cell phone. It's all good in there. But in here, thank you for respecting that rule. And also, thank you for turning off your cell phone during our presentations. We appreciate your consideration for the attendees that are sitting nearby. Okay, without further delay, it is with great pleasure that I introduce to you our acting president of SUNY IT, Dr. Robert Geary.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, you can do better than that. Good morning, everyone. There we go. That's the excitement we expect. So it's wonderful to see everyone here today. I'm so thrilled to be beyond capacity, especially on a topic that's very near and dear to my heart. My previous life I've spent as a faculty member doing research, much of it in research for chip fabrication, so the computer chips that power our computers, laptops, tablets, cell phones, cars, you name it. And so the topic of manufacturing is one that I've been focused on for many, many years. So it's great to have a day dedicated to that, because too often, depending on what you do in life and where you are, you think of manufacturing, think of old brick buildings, and think of heavy machinery and dirty and dusty. Manufacturing is, I think, a high-tech shining star for this country, because high-tech manufacturing drives virtually everything we do. How many of you this morning did not check their phone, computer, or tablet before you came in here? And I'm sure there's only a few. I see a few hands. So that tells you right there, what you're taking advantage of is the highest technology manufacturing in the world. So much of it takes place here, especially the design, the R&D, and we need that pipeline to continue. We need that pipeline to expand. So when we think of manufacturing now, we're thinking about high technology. We're thinking about sustainability. We're thinking about environmentally sustainable ways to do this. We're thinking about value added. And that may be a cliche, but this is what our nation can bring to this. The innovation we have, the training of our scientists and technicians and researchers, we can do something that really they can't do anywhere else in the world. And this is especially true because I think we have a large number of students here from local high schools, Clinton, I think, Oriskany, Holland Patton, Rome, and our BOCES partners, as well as our SUNY partners in the region, MVCC, Morrisville, and HCCC. This is where the manufacturing of tomorrow starts, with students. And especially for our high school students here, I think sometimes these are opportunities that people don't realize exist. We think of manufacturing, as I mentioned, decades ago. We didn't realize that it involves not only some of the STEM skills, but it involves communication skills, right? Working with intellectual property. When we talk about environmental impact, finding ways that are sustainable and green to build our products. So it's not just the metallurgist or the fabrication engineer, it's environmental engineers, it's biologists, it's people that work in nanotechnology, it's people that bridge that gap. These are the jobs that are being created. And they're not jobs that require 10 years of education. They're jobs that require 2 years or 4 years. And that's the promise that, that I think that manufacturing, high-tech, cutting-edge manufacturing has. It doesn't take place in huge, dirty factories. It takes place in clean rooms. It takes place in biotech labs. It takes place in some of the most advanced facilities in the world. And so when you drive by some of these big white buildings, those are careers that all of you here can take advantage of. And I think that's what SUNY IT and our partners, our SUNY partners in the region can bring, opportunities to do that. And it's not just, as you'll hear later today, these aren't just opportunities that we talk about for the educational institutions. They're opportunities for partnership, right? I've been in New York when people never thought manufacturing would come back here. And as we speak, there are companies, Global Foundries is a company that is investing $9 billion in a ChipFab that's about 90 miles east of here. We have a site across the street that could easily hold a $40 billion set of fabrication facilities, right? So it's not as if these are plans that will never come to fruition. They're coming to fruition now. You'll hear about a facility right next door that's gathering hundreds of millions of dollars in terms of investment, partnerships, and jobs. These aren't jobs that are separate from, for the students here, your goals, opportunities that you may have. They're not distinct, right? They're coupled. And so these clean room facilities that are going up, for example, they're places that you can go into, not as a professional 5 years from now, but as a student, via internships, co-ops. And these are the opportunities we want to take advantage of. So I don't want to stand here all morning and go through this when we have some wonderful speakers, wonderful panel that can talk about this in more depth. I want to move on to the next section of our program here, which will be kind words from Congressman Richard Hanna, who is doing his due diligence in Washington, D.C., trying to get things back on track, but I know he's provided a letter for us for today. Thanks very much for your attention, and enjoy the program.
Thank you very much, Dr. Geary. We appreciate your comments. Okay, so yes, Congressman Hanna, he's a little busy right now. Got a call from his office yesterday in Washington, and they said, boy, would he love to be there and not here. It's been quite a week for him, as you can well imagine. So he sent along, and you know, those of you who know Richard Hanna know he's a businessman. And he was a local businessman for many years here, and he would like nothing better than to be surrounded by his brethren. But anyway, here is the letter he sent to me and asked me to read to you. Thank you for inviting me to participate in today's Resurgence of Manufacturing in New York State program at SUNY IT. I regret that my schedule in Washington, working to resolve the unfortunate government shutdown, keeps me from joining you in person. This is an important and timely event, so I extend my appreciation to all of the presenters and participants here today. Our community has a proud tradition of manufacturing here in the Mohawk Valley. Manufacturing has sustained generations of our family, our friends, and our neighbors. It's no secret that this sector has seen better days in our part of New York State, but I am optimistic that manufacturing will and should play a large role in our local 21st century economy. SUNY IT is a remarkable educational asset which prepares young people to enter highly skilled manufacturing careers, and we have no shortage of other colleges and universities in our region. The Marcy Nano site project is moving in the right direction. It is a personal priority for me that this long-delayed initiative gets underway as quickly as possible without unnecessary obstruction by the Army Corps of Engineers. We have successful companies in our area, including Indium, Advanced Tool, and CTM Corporation, all of which are here today. In Congress, I strongly support policies to increase American manufacturing because we know that manufacturing jobs pay well. They generate additional economic activity and are the bedrock of our nation's exports around the globe. For example, I'm working to encourage education in the STEM fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. I consistently vote for legislation to lower energy costs so that our manufacturers remain competitive. Moreover, I'm working to simplify the tax code and reduce unneeded red tape and regulations, especially for our small businesses. I will seek out further opportunities to bolster upstate manufacturing as I continue to work in Washington. Again, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share these thoughts with you. I hope you will consider me a partner at the federal level in promoting manufacturing in the Mohawk Valley. Do not ever hesitate to contact me or my offices if we may be of assistance. Warm regards, Richard Hanna. So, yes, I agree. So when I heard that Congressman Hanna couldn't make it, I called Howard Mettleman. He's the district superintendent from Oneida, Herkimer, Madison, BOCES, and I explained my dilemma. And his response, let me know what you need. I'll be happy to help. So may I introduce to you my pinch hitter, Howard Mettleman.
It's a great feeling coming off the bench. First of all, to Dr. Geary Talcott, on behalf of the Greater Mohawk Valley STEM Hub, thank you so much for allowing us to be a sponsor and a partner in this endeavor. And on behalf of the district superintendents present today who make up the 5 BOCES-wide STEM Hub, Jackie Starks from Madison, Oneida BOCES, Mark Vavakwa from Herkimer BOCES, Nick Saven from Otsego Northern Catskills BOCES, and Patrick Michelle from Hamilton, Fulton, Montgomery BOCES. Today, what we feel is this is the picture of the power of partnerships. And it is a great honor to be here to thank a couple of people. And Dr. Geary mentioned some of our student groups that are here. But I want the audience to know that present today we have representatives from our school boards, we have representatives from our superintendents, principals, guidance counselors, and teachers. And to all of them, thank you for your commitment to not only the Manufacturing Day experience and to the science, technology, engineering, and math initiative that will really align and create a very vibrant 21st century workforce. But of equal importance, allowing our students to be here, because this really is for you. The partnership between schools, business and industry, government, and colleges and universities is being designed to make sure that your pathways are clear and crisp as you move along the education continuum. We have a challenge for the students today, to take in as much information as you can, to bring that information back to your friends, and to share with them the need for them to be participants, active participants in their educational programs, and especially when it comes to the science, technology, engineering, and math that will give them the skills to meet the new job and the new economy that we see coming to our region very, very soon. Congressman Hanna has been a champion of the STEM education. It's a major platform in his program, and we applaud his support for our region. And again, on behalf of the Greater Mohawk Valley STEM Hub, Thank you, and thank you to our partners for this great opportunity, and I know it's going to be a fabulous conference. Thank you again, Kate.
Well done, Pinchhitter. Thank you so much for helping me out. Okay, so for those of you that have studied the program, I'm guessing that at one point you noticed, man, there are a lot of acronyms. What is CGAM and what is SMART with 2 T's? So to help explain them and to talk about workforce development, may I present to you our provost, Dr. William Durgan.
Well, thank you, Kate, and good morning, everyone. This is a very, very special day. So let me extend a special welcome to the 175 high school students that we have here today. This is very, very special for us to hold an event and have so many youngsters here on our campus. The importance of that is that to all you students, you know, you're the brain power. You're what we need. We need your effort, we need your thinking, we need your contributions to really make this region thrive. And so it's very, very special for us to have you all here today. So I hope you find it beneficial. It was a very, very significant challenge for me to figure out how to speak to a broad spectrum of prospective folks in the manufacturing community to those who are very, very well established in the manufacturing community. So I hope I've put together a little bit of a talk here that will benefit all of you. The thing about manufacturing is, and let me ask a question, how many of you in the audience have ever made anything? Show of hands. Okay. Manufacturing is about making things, okay? It's a very, very simple concept. The concept needs to be, though, that you make things that other people want. And the reason that works so well is that if you do that, then you will create an inflow of capital, an inflow of money into your region from other parts of the country and other parts of the world, and you will create wealth and prosperity in your region. And let me just illustrate that, if we can here. These are called clusters around the United States. And you'll notice some very famous areas. If you look up in the left-hand corner, you'll see Seattle. Of course, that's the home of Boeing. That's the home of Microsoft. You know, they make things that other people want in their very, very wealthy regions. If you look down in the Raleigh-Durham area, some of you will recognize that as Research Triangle Park. That's an area that has focused very strongly on building strong clusters that results in an influx of capital into that region. And again, it's a very, very wealthy region. Our job, collectively, and here in upstate New York, is to turn the upstate area in New York into a blue region. And we have some wonderful opportunities. We have a huge nanotechnology initiative underway. We also have a very, very strong cybersecurity effort in the area, and we also have the potential to strongly construct a biomedical device industry, and probably others in this region of upstate. So it's our job to create those new industries. Somebody mentioned earlier that Utica and the Mohawk Valley were once very, very productive manufacturing areas, and that's very, very true. One of the dangers of being successful in an area like that, in making things, and in this area it was textiles once upon a time, is that may move to another geographic region, or it may be economically beneficial to change those processes so they're no longer appropriate for the region. But industries come and go. And one of the key thought processes that needs to take place in any geographic area is, what is the next technology that's going to form the foundation for our industry, our manufacturing, therefore our wealth and prosperity. So it's really important for us to always be looking ahead, and that's exactly what we're all here today to do. Manufacturing for the students, manufacturing pathways are many. It's possible to get into manufacturing directly out of high school. Of course, that won't be terribly rewarding financially, but nevertheless, it's possible. There are good manufacturing jobs right out of high school. You can gain an associate's degree, And that will be very, very beneficial. If you've probably all seen photographs of these clean rooms that President Geary mentioned with folks running around in these bunny suits, as they call them. Most of those people that are working in the clean rooms, operating all the equipment and manufacturing all those chips are people that have earned associate's degrees. And so that's sort of the level of education that you need to get there. You can then go on, you can get a 4-year degree in engineering or in science, and then you can get a better job. You can contribute more strongly to the economy of the region. And let me give you a benchmark here. If you gain a 4-year college degree, you will earn in your lifetime $1 million more than anybody that does not achieve that degree. So that's to me, that's a pretty easy way to make an extra $1 million. All you've got to do is work hard and study. I know that's easy for me to say and maybe not quite so easy for you to do, but nevertheless, that's the benchmark that I want to leave you with. If you want to get into more advanced efforts in manufacturing, if you want to get into pharmaceuticals, if you want to get into the design of chips and the design of those processes, then you'll need an advanced degree, you'll need a master's degree or a doctorate degree. And so those are targets that are well worth pursuing, and certainly many of you will pursue those, and I encourage you to do so strongly. But my main message here is that focusing on your education is the most important thing that you can do right now. The manufacturing community has pulled together a number of guidelines that you can take advantage of. This one is the what's called the Competency Model, and at the very lowest level there you see personal effectiveness. And it has to do with sort of basic skills that you all need to live productive lives. And among them are things like responsibility, industriousness, interpersonal skills. These are things that all of us, and especially our students, should cultivate to the main extent they can. If you go beyond that, you start to get into some of the fundamental learning outcomes that you need to achieve, including reading, writing, mathematics, active learning, and basic computer skills. So you need to focus on those as well. And you can work your way right up this pyramid and gaining more and more skills, and I'll have a little bit more to say about that in just a minute. Manufacturing is divided into, and one way to look at manufacturing is to divide it into 4 areas, commonly called the pillars of knowledge in manufacturing. One of those has to do with what you need to know to become productive in the materials and manufacturing area. Another has to do with the product testing and evaluation area. A third has to do with manufacturing systems and products. I know many of you, many of the students on my campus are interested in robotics, for example. These are all very important elements in manufacturing. And lastly, there's sort of the manufacturing competitiveness. You know, in one sense, we're all in competition with other parts of this country and other parts of the world. And the way that we become more successful in this area is to be more competitive. And one of the ways that we become more competitive is to do a better job educating our students so that they can help us build stronger manufacturing communities. So it's really important, and that in terms of competitiveness, that we focus on our students. CGAM, let me spend a little time talking about that. Many of us in the region were really concerned that we needed to pull together some efforts in order to help industries be more competitive in New York, especially in the Hudson Valley and in the Mohawk Valley. And so we got together about 1.5 years ago and formed this new organization called CGAM, the Center for Global Advanced Manufacturing. It's a nonprofit corporation that we formed. It's an industry-academic collaboration. Many of our partners here, both corporate and academic, are in the room here today. SUNY IT is one of the key players in that organization, and it serves the Mid-Hudson region and the Mohawk Valley region. Our purpose is to assist manufacturers, and it's to improve their competitiveness globally. It's to help them develop new products. It's to help them access academic facilities. It's to help them attract a skilled workforce, and it's to help them develop what's called a supply chain network. So we can put together an integrated system of manufacturing in these 2 areas of New York. Some of the CGAM initiatives that are underway right now include a Machinist Training Center down in the Newburgh Armory. and that's administered by this institution, and it's just about ready to open and launch its training programs. SUNY Orange is offering a Math for Manufacturing program that's part of our CGAM initiative. And we have the SMART laboratories that I'm going to talk about in just a minute. And we have a difference of opinion as to whether or not we used 1 T or 2 Ts in SMART, but you'll all get the idea anyway. One of the things that is being announced right as I speak here now, we have another meeting just like this going on down in the Hudson Valley, and there are 2 major SMART initiatives being announced down there as we speak here today. But the components of CGAM result from a SUNY 2020 initiative, and that's an investment program that the state of New York has conducted through SUNY. And SUNY offered a competition, which we were fortunate to be one of the 4 winners, which resulted in $15 million going to each of those 4 regions in order to do things that would promote economic development in the state of New York. We focused on manufacturing with 8 partners, many of whom are in the room here today, other academic institutions, in order to put together programs that would help create the workforce that will make our manufacturing community more competitive in the 2 valleys as we are working right now. One of the initiatives is to develop what we call characterization laboratories here at SUNY IT. These are major analytical laboratories that will serve industries in the region. Indium Corporation is here today, for example, to make specialty metals for the electronics industry, and one of the things we will have is a great deal of equipment that a company such as Indium can use to analyze the characteristics of the materials they're producing and how those materials behave in use, the solders, the connectors that they focus on. So we're going to have a very powerful suite of laboratories here at this institution that will be available to industries in the Mohawk Valley to underpin their competitiveness. That particular effort will be an investment of $10 million here at SUNY IT. We're just getting started on that right now. A second initiative that we have here at SUNY IT is cloud computing. One of the problems that small manufacturers face is they can't really afford to buy or maintain the type of computer software that's critical to their success. For example, powerful analysis packages for finite element analysis, for fluid dynamics, for heat transfer. Those kinds of very, very expensive computer packages that are needed by companies, but that they really can't afford to buy, and then they can't afford to maintain folks to maintain those programs or operate those programs. The idea is that collectively we can do that, and we're going to do it through the SMART laboratories, through the SUNY 2020 award, where we will run on the cloud very, very powerful software packages that can be available on an as-needed basis to manufacturers in the region, and we will maintain and support those software programs. That's called our Cloud Computing Initiative, and it focuses on design and analysis software. The last element of this is the Smart Laboratory Network, and that includes SUNY IT and its 8 partner colleges. So let me tell you a little bit about what's going on there, and I would ask the students to pay special attention when we break finally to talk with some of the partner colleges who are here today about the opportunities there, because my intention is to leave you with the notion that depending on your interests, there are some schools that you'd probably like to investigate, and they might be the right places for you. So Herkimer is focusing on quality assurance. You know, quality assurance is very different than it was some years ago. You know, with statistical process control methods involved in manufacturing, we have things like the black belts in quality assurance procedures, and you know, what the target for most industries is now is what's called 6 Sigma. And 6 Sigma means that you only have 1 fault in 1,000,000. So if you make 1,000,000 parts, only 1 of those will be out of tolerance, and that's the goal. Things like Corvette engines, for example, that are manufactured according to statistical process control methods end up running perfectly right off the assembly line at nearly 1 in 1,000,000 probability. So the advances that we've made in quality assurance are incredible. Herkimer is going to focus on those sorts of activities. Westchester Community College is going to focus on advanced CNC training. CNC means computer numerical control of machines. A lot of our manufacturing equipment these days is automatic. It runs under the direction of a computer, and it's really important that students learn how to operate those machines when they're preparing for a manufacturing career. Rockland Community College is focusing on printing and design. Well, it's a little bit more than printing. They're building a 3D printing center down there, which will be amazing. It'll be available to all of us. We can send a file down to them. They'll manufacture it using 3D printing technology and ship it back to us in a very, very short order. So that's Rockland's contribution. Orange is running the training center at Newburgh for us, the Machinist Training Center. And Hudson Valley is running a testing laboratory for us. Ulster Community College is running an advanced design and prototyping center. They'll be using that same type of software that I was speaking of, and they'll be using the 3D printing technology that's going to be available throughout the system. All of these institutions, by the way, are linked in a network fashion, so all can take advantage of the resources available at the others. Mohawk Valley is going to focus on CNC machining. They have plans to greatly upgrade their training programs with newer equipment, a lot of it numerical control equipment. Morrisville has a very, very special initiative underway in agriculture as a manufacturing enterprise. You all know that hops manufacturing or hops agriculture was very important to this valley once in history, and Morrisville is focusing on new technologies to produce hops, both for New York and for the country. And if some of you that know a little bit about that know that the time to process mature hops is very short. And so you have this equipment that you need just for a very short window each year, but it has to do an enormous amount of productivity during that time. And so they're developing the equipment that will be needed in order to help that industry achieve resurgence here in upstate New York. And lastly, here at SUNY IT, we have what's called the Advanced Materials Processing and Characterization Laboratory. It will be a very, very large laboratory with somewhere in the neighborhood of $8 or more $1 million worth of very advanced testing and analytical equipment. So that's what's going on here at SUNY IT. So that's our CGAM and our SMART initiative. It's meant to not only support industry by providing resources, it's meant to provide the workforce that the manufacturing industry needs, and it's meant to provide opportunities for students. And so I hope that you will all take advantage to talk with the other schools that we have here, talk with SUNY IT, and hopefully we'll circle right around. And in order for this region to be successful, and in order for us to achieve economic success and to achieve wealth in this area and all have better lives, we need your brains, we need your hard work in order to help us build that manufacturing community that's going to be important to our welfare as we go forward. So I want to wish you all the best. I want to thank you for coming today, and I'll turn this back to Kate.
So I hope the takeaway from all of that, aside from the fact that we use a lot of acronyms, is that we have a lot of resources coming to the Mohawk Valley for our manufacturers, for our B2B opportunities, right? Because when a manufacturer is doing well, they have different folks in the supply chain, different businesses that also do well. But as students, it's a huge opportunity for you. We really are going to get you ready to take off in your careers. So this is all exciting. Speaking of exciting news, we've got some pretty exciting projects happening on this campus. I don't know if you're familiar with any of them. Have you read the paper? Have you heard? We've got some stuff going on. Anybody? No? Well, I certainly can't explain this. So I asked two very smart friends of mine to chip in today and explain them. So first I have Alicia Dix. She's the executive director of the Fort Schuyler Management Corp. Oh, Mark's going first. Guys, you got to tell me. All right, flexible. So there's also Mark Reynolds, who's the Senior Vice President of Planning and Development from Mohawk Valley Edge. Let's just say that together they're going to explain these projects.
I'll work from over here. Yeah? Oh, thank you.
You're holding your wafer.
Thank you, Kate, for being flexible with us, and I apologize for not communicating in advance. Thank you all for coming today. I'm Senior Vice President at Mohawk Valley Edge. We do a lot of things with various and sundry industries in upstate New York, mostly in the Mohawk Valley. Oneida and Herkimer County is our focus area. This is one particular industry that I've been spending about half my time on over the past decade. And my boss, Steve DeMeo, who would probably be here if he wasn't taking a much-needed vacation to Italy. I think it's the first time he's taken time off in 3 years, but he probably spends... Oh, I'm sorry. I'll have to speak up. Can you hear me in the back? Nonetheless, I have a PowerPoint here. It has a lot of stuff on it. I will push through fairly quickly. If any of you want to get a copy of it, we have a table just outside that door on the right, Mohawk Valley Edge. We have some other information about Marcy Nano Center. Be glad to send you a copy of this. Just drop off your email, or if you don't have an email address, give me your mailing address and I'll make a copy. So New York's investment strategy has shifted a little bit over the past decade. Traditional economic development deals, whether it was in manufacturing or back office or finance or distribution, whatever industry it was, we would meet with a company and we would negotiate some sort of incentive package to get them to locate their plant here. And it typically revolved around how many jobs did they have, what was the payroll, what was the capital investment, and we would negotiate some sort of incentive package. And then they would spend some money, they'd build the plant, and the state would write them a check for some portion of that. That is shifting, especially in the area of nanotechnology, semiconductor manufacturing, because these plants are prohibitively expensive to build, somewhere on the order of $1 billion for a new 450 millimeter plant, and I'll get into that in a minute. And that's before you put any tools in it. And after the tools go in it, the thing's probably worth somewhere between $5 and $10 billion. In other parts of the world, in particularly Asia, the government steps in and builds these plants. We're trying to copy that or follow that model, where the investment of the state will be in bricks and mortar, if you will, to build buildings, and lease them to industry to populate them with not only tools, but job opportunities for you and others. The CNSE stands for the College of Nanoscale Science and Engineering. That is the school that Dr. Geary came from before he graced us with his presence here. It's in Albany. If you ever get off of exit 24 of Interstate 90 headed east, there's a giant white building. It says College of Nanoscale Science and Engineering on the side of it. Take a double take at it. It's a big building, and a lot of fancy clean room stuff goes on in there. But the motive or the reason why the state is investing in that is not purely for research and intellectual property creation. It's to lay the groundwork for manufacturing investments, so that when companies create intellectual property within new ideas, new patents, new technologies within that facility, they will see reason to grow that into high volume manufacturing within New York State. There's a nice picture of President Obama, who's dealing with some other issues right now, but in May of 2012, he took a tour of the College of Nanoscale Science and Engineering with our governor, and he said that he wants what's happening in Albany to happen all across the country in places like Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Raleigh. He probably meant Detroit. I don't know if he said it. And that's because we've established a model, a certain model, where the state investment is so important to the industry that they will come to do their manufacturing here. I have a couple of pictures up here. The one on the right is the Marcy Nano Center project that I'll talk about. The one on the left, Alicia will talk about in a few minutes. It is a collaboration, however, between the College of Nanoscale Science and Engineering, SUNY IT, Fort Schuyler Management, which Alicia runs, and Mohawk Valley Edge. And we're a not-for-profit economic development corporation. We're not government, but we partner with these governmental agencies to make this work. So that, yeah, I think you can see that. That's the site. So these are the dormitories. These are the dormitories here at SUNY. This is the Interstate 90. West is that way. North is to your right. The campus is down here. We're sitting in a building right about here. This is a 430 or 440 acre site. It's a greenfield site. It's never been used for anything other than agriculture. Agricultural practices ceased in the 1960s or 1970s when the state bought it for the development of the campus. It was part of the real estate deal when the state bought this land to build SUNY. SUNY IT campus was built on the east side of this road on about 600 or 700 acres. There was over 1,000 acres purchased by the state. And they had a development plan in the 1980s to build a technology campus over here, but never did anything with it other than drawings and economic forecasts and those kind of things. When, in 1998, then Governor Pataki kicked off ChipFab 98, which was an effort to attract the industry back to New York, because it's in some ways started in New York. IBM, which is one of the biggest companies in the industry, is a New York company. We had lost a lot of the investment to other parts of the country and other parts of the world. That program, ChipFab 98, was to identify sites in the state that could support the industry with enough water, with enough sewer capacity, with enough power, with enough real estate, with enough people, so that the industry would be comfortable that they could build the plants, operate them efficiently at low enough cost, and produce good products at profit. We submitted our site to the state accepted it, and in 1999 we were off and running, and we went through a whole bunch of other stuff like zoning and environmental impact statements and all that stuff. I didn't realize this was animated, I apologize. So this is the global context within which we compete. There are certain clusters. You saw Dr. Durgan's map of industrial clusters in the United States. Some of those are on here, the Texas Metroplex, Chesapeake, Northern Virginia, some of Silicon Valley. Some of these other clusters are unique to the semiconductor industry. In particular, Austin, which was not on that map, has over 10,000 semiconductor design engineers within the city, and probably equal number of manufacturing jobs. Idaho, Boise, Idaho. One would probably think of fishing or skiing or something when they think of Boise, Idaho. It's the home of Micron Corporation. There's about 9,000 people working in the semiconductor industry. But it's not just an American industry. We have competition in Europe, and now, over the last 15 years, very strong competition in Asia. In particular, not so much Japan, which was a strong player in the 1990s, but Taiwan, China, and Singapore. So when a company makes a decision of where they're going to land their $5 or $10 or $15 billion investment, they're not just comparing us against Research Triangle Park or Austin, Texas, and what our power cost is versus theirs, and our labor cost is versus theirs. They're looking at Taipei, China, and they're looking in Korea and Seoul, and they're looking in Israel and Ireland, and now even into Russia and Eastern Europe. So the competition is worldwide, and the costs are steep. In many of those countries, most of those are socialist in nature, and the government participates in industry and pays for construction of projects and finds the people to fill the buildings. And it's an easy win, it's an easy sell to a company that doesn't have to worry about all that kind of stuff. But in the United States, that's a different paradigm. We traditionally don't do it that way. Moving on to the site. This is an overhead view of that aerial photo that I just showed you a few minutes ago, showing a number of fabs that could be built here. We have enough land for 3 semiconductor fab plants. This drawing is showing 2. That one and that one would each have a clean room of 350,000 square feet. That's about 8 acres of clean room. The rooftop of those buildings is about 10 acres. You could probably put 30 soccer fields on each roof. The associated buildings, the central utility buildings and warehouses comprise about 2 million square feet of rooftop. So these are very, very big facilities. The buildings are about 120 feet tall. They're very nice looking. They're clean and sleek, but they are very, very large architectural and engineering projects. But more to the point is jobs. Why are we pursuing this? We're not pursuing this just to have a giant white building in a field. We're pursuing it for economic value. So a typical fab would start out at initial ramp up after, say, 2 years of construction and another 12 to 18 months of installing tools with 500 or 600 engineers. These are people with 4-year degrees. They might be freshly minted out of an engineering school, or they might be coming from another company, and they will make somewhere between $90,000 and $120,000 a year. There will be even more technicians requiring 2-year degrees, as Dr. Durgan talked about, from all those technical schools that were on that list. They'll hire 700 of them to begin with and grow that to maybe 900 within a 5-year period. That's for one fab. Those people can be employed right out of Mohawk Valley Community College or Hudson Valley Community College at somewhere between $45,000 and $60,000 a year, and with growth potential within 5 years to be making $75,000 to $90,000. There will be machinists and tool operators that need to be skilled with their hands and with basic mathematic skills, STEM skills, another couple hundred of those, and your front-end office administration, human resources, accounting, legal, all that kind of stuff, with a total of about 1,600 people employed to start, growing to about 2,100. When you add up all those salaries, we're saying that a typical fab in the United States would average about $64,000 a year. Contrast that with Global Foundries in Malta, which has some more advanced R&D going on there than a typical fab. They're at above $80,000. And in Hillsboro, Oregon, where Intel decided to invest in the late 70s, their average salary is over $115,000, and they have 12,000 employees. So the impact to the community is huge. These are some of the skills that the indirect jobs require. Indirect jobs are those jobs in what we call the supply chain, the people that have contracts to supply silicon or gases or other support to the facility. Speaking of silicon, I brought a prop. Now this is a 300 millimeter single crystal silicon wafer. It's about 650 microns thick, which is less than a millimeter. It 10 years ago was the state of the art and currently is the state of the art for semiconductor manufacturing. This is the basic foundation, the substrate that goes through the machines, which they etch and lay on the various circuitry to build semiconductors, and then they cut those up into little pieces and put them in your machines. The industry is moving away from this size and growing it to an 18-inch diameter silicon wafer, or 450 millimeters. Now that is the goal of the Global 450 Consortium in Albany, which is part of the College of Nanoscale Science and Engineering, is to help the industry build the tools and build the processes to increase the scale of the size of the wafer from 300 millimeters to 450 millimeters so that they can produce more chips with a lower capital investment. This is more economic stuff that might bore you. So what does a hub do for a regional business community? over a 20-year period, that would be if 2, possibly 3 fabs were built. And we're already seeing this in Malta, where they built the first one, and now they're building a research center, and they've approached the planning board for the second fab. We see from 25,000 to 100,000 direct and indirect jobs. That should be direct and indirect jobs. 25 to $50 billion in capital investment, and that capital investment would be primarily on this property. Anywhere from 2 to 5% compound annual growth in the population. By way of example, Hillsboro, Oregon, where Intel landed in the late 70s, is in Washington County, Oregon, had a population of 27,000 people at the 1980 census. Today, there's 560,000. They were an agricultural community. They grew apricots and walnuts and almonds and a few grapes. That's the community that today has 12,000 Intel employees, all making $115,000 a year. It's a game changer. I won't go into this pilot thing. This is all about public finance. I think I will give you this if anybody's interested in this electronically or in paper copy. I'm not trying to hide it from you, but it's just kind of boring stuff. The real important thing is that not only do we have an intellectual partnership with SUNY IT, and we have a real estate deal with them too. Mohawk Valley Edge is leasing the property from Fort Schuyler Management Corporation, or subleasing it, which is leasing it from SUNY IT. So we have an economic contract between the two of us. But we also have a cross-regional partnership now that the College of Nanoscale Science and Engineering is investing not only in what Alicia's going to talk about, and I'm going to stop talking in a minute, but at the Marcy Nano Center. The point of this is that we can't do it alone. The College of Nanoscale Science and Engineering, especially the Global 450 Consortium in Albany, has made itself world-renowned. I go to conferences all over the world, technical conferences, and there hasn't been one in the last 5 years where the word Albany hasn't been mentioned. Albany is the center of research for 450 millimeter transition, and the state wants to take that investment by the industry and by themselves and broaden it across the state. And through our hard work, developing the Marcy Nano Center, getting it ready for high volume manufacturing, the state has agreed that they will step in and be our economic partner to make this work. I hope I covered enough for you. Thanks. Oh, if you guys want to see this wafer, we've got a canister of about 10 of them outside that door.
We'll bring you up. There you go.
Thank you. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Still awake? Thank you, Mark, for not going through the economics of that, because that might put some of us to sleep. When you really get into the numbers, it's exciting stuff what's happening here, as Mark said. And not to take any thunder away, but the pilot stuff gets really deep. But I have some real-time project to talk about, and it's really exciting for me to be here and to bring this forward. I apologize if folks have seen me in the last week or so give this presentation. Hopefully it doesn't get old, because I think it's very exciting. I'm a big fan of history, and especially the space race, and in the words of Neil Armstrong, you guys know who he is, you students? I see, yeah, okay, I hope so. I like to think of this project as a small step for Nano and a giant step for Mohawk Valley, and that's what this is. And it's the one first step to the great economic game changer that everybody's been talking about, and Mark just went along. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay. So, Quad C, you've heard a lot about it if you came on campus. You might have seen the big construction site, 3 cranes on site, right to the west of where we're sitting in Kinsella Hall. And it's Quad C, you've heard it in the papers perhaps. It's the 4 Cs. I can never say this quickly, so that's why I just call it the Quad C. It's the Computer Chip Commercialization Center. It's a clean room, it's a vast clean room, it's a very unique clean room that's being built right here. We started in June. We'll be finished at the end of next year. It is part of this overall partnership that Mark just went through. So the governor's picture's on this because we need the state to incentivize the project, the bricks and mortar. So we have this $125 million project, construction project going on, that at the end of the day, this community is going to have a $500 million plus asset to call home. Because all the tools and industry partnership and investment that go into this facility once it's built is going to make this asset a value of 5 times what it's being designed to be. Very exciting to have this not only on our campus, but in our community. So I get a little excited, super excited to be partnering with CNSE, SUNY IT, and Mohawk Valley Edge. Can't do it without our partners. I work for Fort Schuyler, which is a not-for-profit corporation, to try to shepherd these projects through on behalf of the colleges. All the folks on the bottom of the screen are the construction and design team that are making this facility possible. Very complex buildings, very sensitive buildings, so the clean room, you can't have any vibration, you can't have any type of interruption in any of your facilities, your power. So when they site these things, they site them very carefully, making sure your power is super reliable. And in this area of the Northeast, and in fact, in this very area of the Northeast, this pinpoint of this whole footprint that Mark just went over across the street on the west side of the new Edict Road, the SUNY IT bypass, the ones with all the roundabouts in it. This is all right within a quarter mile, a little more than maybe half a mile from the confluence of the power coming from the north and the west and all of the Northeast. Canadian Power, Niagara Power coming in and coming together right just north of this campus. So reliability and redundancy is no problem. So it's a great asset for this industry to look at and say, you got power, you got water, you got people, you got talent right next door. It's really a no-brainer. So we've got the elements and the ingredients to make this a success for not just us, but for them as well. So what are we building? It's a technology campus or a complex. We're doing phase 1 of hopefully 3 and many more. And if anybody's seen the College of Nanoscale Science and Engineering grow over the past decade, and if anybody's seen that big white box when you get off the thruway and notice that, well, that wasn't there 2 years ago, and the building before that wasn't there, it took them about 12, 15 years to grow from 500 square feet of clean room, pretty small space, so much smaller than about the size of this stage, to over 180,000 square feet of clean room. And not just clean room, but state-of-the-art clean room. Facilities that you cannot match, they're unparalleled. We're building that here. We're not replicating what they're doing, we're going to complement what they're doing. So if they're doing the front end of the silicon wafer research and development, we're going to do the back end of the process. So that we're complementary, we're working in collaboration to fulfill the needs of the research partners that we have, which, by the way, if you haven't seen CNSE's website, they have over 300 semi and nano industry partners playing in that sandbox in Albany. Pretty big deal for New York State to have that level of manufacturing and research prowess right in our backyard. And the other thing about this industry is they don't look at a region and say, well, we're in Albany. It's Albany, right? No. It's a mega region. They look at it as Albany, Utica, Syracuse, Fishkill. This is just a mega region to that industry. There's enough play for everybody. If you look at the other areas where these industries have invested, again, it's a mega region area. It's not just one city or one area. Silicon Valley is a good example of that. Even Austin, even though the city of Austin, you can see the sprawl around it, all the towns and the communities around Austin are taking advantage of that and beyond. So again, this leverages the partnership. Kate, if I'm running late, where's Kate? Just tell me to go. I'm from New York, so I can talk very fast, but then you won't understand me. So yeah, we're leveraging this ecosystem, right? We've talked about Malta and Albany having Malta being the manufacturing hub and Albany being this research hub. This ecosystem, like I said, can branch out and sprawl, and we're within a hop, skip, and a jump from Albany. I make that trip every day, and it's actually a nice trip. There's no traffic, right? They probably in Silicon Valley have an hour and a half commute, and it's 10 miles away. So we've got a lot of assets here that can be another attractive feature for the industry. High-tech jobs is critical, right? That's the name of the game. Mark talked about the economic impact. If you get a chance, take a look at his PowerPoint and really dig into those numbers. It's a game changer, it's transformative. We're doing this for the communities to grow. We want to bring back upstate New York and grow the history that once made us great. Opportunities for student and faculty engagement, and this is my favorite piece right now, because we're in construction. And instead of waiting until the clean room's open and the tools are in and the companies have started their investment, we're getting our students involved right now. Right now, during construction, getting involved with the engineering of the building, the site dynamics of how to pull that construction off, all the coordination, and I'm telling you, there's a ton of coordination. It's a small little 4-acre site out there that we're coordinating this 253,000 square foot building. And M&W, who's one of our partners and who's our lead partner in design, likes to tell me that I feel like I'm in a city block doing this construction, although you come here and you think, wow, with all these beautiful green, rolling hills, you have all the space. They've got to coordinate that site in that tiny, tiny little footprint, and they've been doing a heck of a job with it, and we're getting our students involved. So we're not only, here's a whole class of students that came, and we did a guest lecture to them, they gave them a tour, we suited them up, we get them acclimated to what goes on in the construction, but hey, anybody interested in interning? 2 interns since the summer, 2 interns in the fall, an additional 2 with one of our other contractors this fall. Every semester, hopefully 2 or more interns are going to get hired, and not just in the engineering and construction, business. Hey, you need somebody to go through all the document management, procurement, all the pieces that make this engine run are necessary and they're cross-discipline. So we're hoping to get as much involved as we can, and it's not just SUNY IT. We're stretching across the region. We've got a student from Utica College who's in construction management on our team as an intern. That's what's exciting to us right now, because we're not waiting. We're starting, and we're doing it. If you walk out, look outside, you'll see us in motion, and you'll see there's a lot of student engagement. We're looking for opportunities and are making a lot of progress towards getting those students involved with projects. So things like doing our environmental signage to show how we're trying to get to LEED Platinum. What's the signage of the building? How do we highlight what we're accomplishing? Hey, there's a good student project. Other student projects, monitoring. The steel placement and making sure that the steel placement's right. Is there a monitoring or testing or measurement discipline that we can give to the students to kind of play around with? Modeling, all sorts of stuff. So it's going, and we're moving forward quickly. And of course, those global business attraction, the investment from those global partners, once they're in the building, our students, our faculty, our community are going to have a whole new host of opportunity for growth. So M&W is a world-class construction company who builds, I think probably, I've been told, over 70% of all the manufacturing semiconductor plants in the world, working here, investing in our community, hiring our students. And if we go, just like CNSC has gone, growth after growth after growth, go across the street, get the Mohawk Valley Edge manufacturing nano fab built, these companies are going to be here for a long time. They're great assets for us to take advantage of. So I think that's part of the most exciting piece. So the facility, like I said, is 253,000 square feet. It's going to have a lot of space for meetings and offices and labs. It's going to have a state-of-the-art auditorium similar to this, but very, very different in high-tech capacity, remote learning, conferencing, all the bells and whistles you can imagine. But of course, the big feature here is the 56,000 square foot ballroom, clean room. So what does that mean? First of all, it's really big. Ballroom means it's wide open. So the tenet of the design in this building was to make it as flexible as possible so we can have any industry, any need come in, do their work, and we could accommodate them. So this is a really unique design because it's a very flexible design. So we've put spaces in the design component to accommodate any need for material, gas, you name it, equipment, loading, unloading, warehousing, it's all embedded in the design. We want it to be best suited for all uses on that back of the line. The other unique feature, it's stacked. So in the US, we have one stacked clean room, which means there's one on top of the other. Global Foundries is now designing and building one as we speak. We're going to build ours first. So we're going to be the second stacked clean room in the US. And if you haven't figured out, I like to be first on things. So I'm pretty excited that we're going to be done December of 14 with this clean room and open for business. 100, class 100 on the first level, class 1000 on the second level. Anybody know what a class 100 clean room is? I know somebody knows because a lot of people have heard me talk about this. It's 100 particles per cubic yard? No, per million. So it's, I love to make the analogy of your operating room is class 10,000. So folks that work in a class 100 clean room think the operating room is disgusting. It's filthy dirty because of there's 10,000 per particles per million versus 100 in these clean rooms. And a lot of folks don't understand, why does a clean room have to be clean? Because all of the devices that are being put on that silicon wafer are nanoscale. So we can't even see them, which I find mind-boggling because this building is huge to build the tiniest things that we are using in our day-to-day life. So we need the biggest facilities to build the smallest things that we're using. Pretty contradictory. But the clean room is necessary. It's the airflow maintenance. So these buildings are very tall, have a lot of airflow mechanics in them, and when you stack them, the building gets really big. It's not just, 10 foot and put another 10 foot on top of it. It's 10 foot plus the air space, plus the subfab, plus the air space on the second floor. So that's why the building ends up being, as Mark said, they're over 100, ours is over 102 feet tall. So it's actually the height of a 8-story building, but it's really only 2 clean rooms. So it's pretty interesting stuff, and again, very unique in the US, and here it is right in the Mohawk Valley. So here it is there's the building footprint. The building footprint's only 61,000 square feet as a footprint. Phase 2 is planned for this area just to the west, and phase 3 is taking over our facilities folks' home for the campus. So we'd have to relocate them and put phase 3 there. We also have this area here across the street to develop if necessary. And again, looking at the model at CNSC, has anybody understood what that big white building did? It moved a whole county road. If they do any more expansion, because they're landlocked, there's nowhere else to go, and they need more space, they're going to have to move the thruway, which I wouldn't be surprised if one day they have to do. So we're probably going to get full fulfillment in all of our phases. So here's just a quick look at the footprint. So again, that ballroom clean room, is here. This is the band up here of all the offices. This is the central utility building that we call the Cub. It's where most of the cost for the building is, and what makes that clean room work. And then again, right here is the area where the auditorium is. And it's closest to the interior of the campus, so the campus can take the most advantage of it. So when you walk out of Kinsella, you'll see this building. Large atrium. This is the box where the auditorium is. This is the clean room box, and this is the Cub. Very prominent building on campus. Again, very tall, kind of squeezed in that footprint. But having a pretty big presence. Pretty cool looking, too, I think. On the west side of the building, there's going to be an employee entrance. And again, the industry partners coming in may have some security concerns, want to make sure that they're badged in for their employees, or that they have IP access, their intellectual property is contained. We want to make this most flexible. So we're trying to go for a trusted foundry type of scenario. So what does that mean? It means that the IP that gets developed here can stay here. It's a trusted facility, and that's one of the things we're going for here. When you walk into the facility, this is the biggest thing for the community that I think is a great asset. You'll be able to see right into that clean room. So we're walling the clean room with all glass, and when you walk in, this is a showcase facility for our students, for our faculty, for our community, for our commercial partners to say, look what we're doing here, and we're doing it here. So there'll be it's a good showcase facility to bring future tenants, future students, and anybody who's interested in the industry. Again, this is just kind of a snapshot of a room like this on the auditorium. Groundbreaking, this is what we looked like when we started. It took us about 1.5 years to get this designed, again, because we had to meet all the flexibility tenets of our design. And took us a while to figure out what that was going to look like. So groundbreaking, this is what, 3 months ago? There's our cub wall. So that's looking from the northeast looking west. Where these, well, I'll go back. Where these cranes are this is where the clean room floor is, and this is the cub, which is, again, just about an 8-story building once it's said and done. Again, progress, all the footings, and I'm not going to get into all the geeky construction stuff I like to talk about, but progress, right? Look at, there's the whole cub wall right now. They just filled in the floor for the clean room, and we're going to be pouring a 3-foot concrete mat slab, 3 feet, over that 26,000 square foot footprint for the clean room next week. So here's the clean room floor where it's got the protectorant and then all the rebarb. It's got to cover the whole 26,000 footprint before they put the concrete on it. So progress in 3 months, outstanding. We like to talk about the fact that M&W and their team have done all this construction with this layer of safety that is a culture. Little different from a lot of the contractors who are doing business here, who are working with us as a team, but they're coming along and they're saying, yeah, we get this safety culture because there's a lot of high hazards on this contained site, like I said. And we're really happy to report that we've trained over 260 workers. And that's not just the guys that are out in the field, because right now we have about 77 laborers out there any given day. But it's their management, it's union management, it's all the design team, it's folks from the college, it's folks that are, anybody who's interested in getting in on that site, take this training and this intense review of how to have that safety culture be embedded in their bloodstream. So you live, breathe, work, live, and play safety, right? New culture, and it's necessary because we've worked over 40,000 hours without any incidents recorded. So big success for us so far. Knock on wood, that cement pour starts tomorrow. Steel comes in 2 weeks, and you'll see steel going up over the fall. And we are working right through the winter. We're not stopping because we want to hit that deadline for December. So watch us grow, and that's it. Did I do good on your time? Thank you.
Okay, so when you're out this weekend and you're talking to people and they say, nah, there's nothing going on in the Mohawk Valley. Tell them, are you kidding? There's plenty going on. Bring them up here for a field trip. So with that said, you all need to stretch. You need a little break here. So please take some time to go out, see the exhibits. If you could come back here by 10:45, we've got a panel of fantastic local business people that you'll want to hear. So go see the exhibits, get some coffee, see you in a bit.